Hello guys, my name is Victor Bloodstone. Today I will be telling you guys about 5 true, creepy and disturbing horror stories happened in library. So, let's get started. Story 1. The Whispering Tomes. I have always been a devoted reader, drawn to the quiet solitude of libraries. So, when I discovered an old, seemingly abandoned library tucked away in a forgotten corner of the city, I couldn't resist the urge to explore it. The library was dimly lit, and the scent of ancient paper filled the air as I entered. The books seemed to stretch on forever, row after row of forgotten knowledge, but as I ventured deeper into the stacks, I became aware of a soft, constant whispering. It was as if the books themselves were talking to each other. I pulled a dusty, leather-bound tome from the shelf and opened it. The pages were filled with incomprehensible symbols and bizarre illustrations. The whispering grew louder, more insistent. It was as if the library itself was urging me to read, to understand. I chose another book, and another, each one more cryptic than the last. The whispers evolved into an eerie chorus, like a symphony of the damned. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the pages, and I felt a sinister presence closing in around me. As I continued to read, I began to understand the terrible truth. The books were not filled with knowledge, they were filled with the trapped souls of those who had come before me. Their whispers grew louder and more desperate, and I realized that the only way to silence them was to join their ranks. Now, I am just another volume on the shelves, whispering my torment to any unsuspecting soul who dares to enter this cursed library. Story 2. The Unfinished Manuscript. I was a struggling writer, plagued by writer's block and the constant fear of failure. That's why I felt a strange sense of destiny when I stumbled upon an old, decrepit library on the outskirts of town. Its shelves were filled with countless volumes, but one in particular caught my eye: a dusty, leather-bound tome that radiated an inexplicable allure. The book contained an unfinished manuscript, the words fading into obscurity as if the author had given up mid-sentence. I felt an overwhelming compulsion to continue the story, to breathe life into the abandoned words. As I wrote, the manuscript seemed to take on a life of its own. The characters leaped off the page, their voices filling my head. Days turned into nights as I feverishly wrote, the story consuming me. I was no longer in control. The manuscript dictated the words, and I was merely a vessel for its creation. The characters' pain and suffering became my own, and the lines between reality and fiction blurred. In the end, I penned the final word, and the manuscript fell silent. But as I closed the book, I realized the horrifying truth that I had become a character in the story, forever trapped within its pages. The library, a portal to a realm of twisted imagination, had claimed me as its own. Story 3. The Keeper of Forbidden Knowledge. I always had a fascination with the occult, an insatiable thirst for knowledge beyond the boundaries of our world. It was this obsession that led me to a hidden library in a crumbling, long-forgotten building at the edge of town. The library was unlike any I had ever seen. The shelves were filled with ancient tomes, their pages bound in human skin, their content brimming with forbidden knowledge. As I delved deeper into the stacks, I felt an unsettling presence, as if I were being watched by unseen eyes. In the dimly lit reading room, I uncovered a particularly sinister book. Its cover bore an intricate pentagram, and as I opened it, the room grew colder. The text was written in a language I couldn't decipher, but the illustrations told a gruesome tale of rituals and sacrifices. My obsession drove me to translate the text, to unlock the secrets contained within. Night after night, I toiled, the words becoming clearer as my sanity slipped away. The more I understood, the more I felt the malevolent force that had been dormant within the library awaken. One night, as I was on the verge of a breakthrough, the room was plunged into darkness. I heard whispers, guttural and ancient, and felt a cold hand close around my throat. I struggled for breath as the unseen force dragged me into the shadows, claiming me as the guardian of its forbidden knowledge. Now, I exist in a state of perpetual darkness, my soul forever bound to the library, a sentinel of the horrors that lie within its walls. My desperate warning to those who seek the library's secrets is this: beware, for the pursuit of forbidden knowledge comes at a terrible price, and the library's keeper will never let you go. Story 4. The Cursed Archive. Libraries have always been a sanctuary for me, places where the outside world faded away into the hushed reverence of knowledge. But my perception of libraries changed forever when I stumbled upon a hidden archive beneath my university's grand library. The archive was a forgotten catacomb, filled with ancient texts and manuscripts. The air was thick with the scent of aging paper, and the room seemed to echo with the whispers of centuries past. It was a realm of lost knowledge, and my curiosity was insatiable. One evening, as I ventured deeper into the labyrinthine shelves, I discovered a manuscript bound in cracked leather and sealed with wax. The symbols on the cover were unrecognizable, and the pages felt coarse and ancient. I was drawn to it, as if it held a key to secrets I had never known existed. As I began to translate the text, I realized that it contained a forbidden history, one that should never have seen the light of day. The manuscript spoke of a cult, one that worshipped a malevolent deity known as the Forgotten One. Their rituals were grotesque and horrifying, involving sacrifices of both flesh and spirit. The more I read, the more I felt a presence in the archive, as if I were being watched. Whispers filled my mind, and shadows seemed to dart along the edges of my vision. I became obsessed with uncovering the cult's secrets, despite the growing dread that gnawed at me. One fateful night, as I delved into the depths of the manuscript, the shadows coalesced into a tangible form, a grotesque, shadowy figure with gleaming red eyes. It reached out toward me, and I felt an icy grip on my heart. The room grew colder, and the walls seemed to close in. In a moment of terror, I slammed the manuscript shut, but the figure was undeterred. It whispered in a language I couldn't understand, its voice a cacophony of despair and malice. The room filled with a bone-chilling cold, and I felt an otherworldly presence trying to enter my mind. Desperation forced me to flee the archive, but the entity followed, its whispers haunting my every step. It demanded that I continue its work, to bring the Forgotten One back into the world. I refused, and the library itself seemed to recoil, as if it were protecting me. To this day, I bear the scars of that encounter, a chilling reminder that some knowledge should remain buried. The cursed archive still calls to me, its secrets locked away in a room I dare not enter. But I know that, somewhere in the shadows, the entity waits, biding its time, and it will never stop seeking to complete the rituals that would unleash an unimaginable horror upon the world. Story 5. The Whispering Stacks. My love for libraries began in childhood, and as I grew, so did my fascination with the secrets they held. The library I speak of, however, was not a grand institution but a quaint, forgotten building tucked away in a remote village. Upon entering, I was struck by the library's quaint charm. Sunlight filtered through the dusty windows, and the creaking wooden floors whispered the stories of those who had walked them. It was here that I found myself drawn to a narrow passage leading to the basement. The basement was different from the serene atmosphere above. It was filled with stacks of old, tattered books. As I descended the narrow staircase, I felt a palpable shift in the air, as if the very foundations of the building exhaled history into my being. Amongst the stacks, I discovered a peculiar book bound in cracked leather. Its pages were filled with indecipherable runes and dark illustrations that sent a shiver down my spine. I could not resist the urge to translate the text, to uncover the mysteries hidden within. As I delved deeper into the book's secrets, I noticed the whispers. At first, they were barely audible, like a gentle breeze rustling through leaves, but they grew more distinct, more insistent, as if urging me to unlock the book's full potential. The more I translated, the more I became aware of a sinister presence in the basement. Shadows seemed to take on life, moving with purpose through the stacks. Whispers filled the room, their voices both alluring and horrifying, revealing forgotten stories of madness and despair. One evening, as I reached a critical juncture in the translation, the room plunged into darkness. I heard the whispers growing louder, their voices in agonizing chorus. The shadows coalesced into a grotesque figure, its eyes burning with malevolence. In a moment of terror, I closed the book, and the figure drew closer, its icy fingers brushing against my skin. The whispers became deafening, a cacophony of suffering and longing. I fled the basement, my heart pounding, but the entity followed. It demanded that I finish the translation, to bring forth an ancient being from the depths of the book. I refused, and the entity's fury was unleashed. The library itself seemed to rebel, the very walls closing in on me. I managed to escape, but the library's hold on me remained, a haunting presence that followed me wherever I went. It whispered in my dreams, urging me to return and complete the translation, to release the ancient horror within the book. The quaint library, once a sanctuary of serenity, is now a prison of dread. Its ancient secrets and the entity that guards them continue to haunt me, a reminder that some knowledge is better left untouched, and that even the most peaceful of places can conceal unspeakable horrors. If you liked the stories, then consider liking the video and subscribing my channel, as it would motivate me to make more videos for you guys, and thank you for watching this video.